every event in our life matters. Every event in our lives matter. And having people in your life, whether it's on a short-term basis or a long-term basis, can make a very momentum impact in their lives throughout their eternity.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Love Speaks. I am your host, Lakeisha Carvil, and joining me is my co-host.
My name is Francois, and we're grateful to be here with you today with the Love Speaks. Love Speaks is Love Speaks what love does, which is culturally, spiritually, and what's going on in the now.
And this episode, we are bringing you a dynamic topic. We have family dynamics and foster care.
This is a topic that's a bit near and dear to my heart simply because I worked with the Department of Education for more than 13 years, working with young people and children from all type of backgrounds with different type of situations that they were in. And so I have a heart and a care and a concern when it comes to our youth.
And just talking about the family dynamics, family is not who we're born with only, but family is also those who we are raised with, rather if it was biologically or those that tend to take care of us. And so when we think about foster care, we have great individuals who have stepped in to care for children who sometimes been abused, been neglected. And so it takes someone with a very compassionate heart, someone who is sacrificing their own life just so they can be a mother again or a father again to help a child be nurtured and developed.
I 1000% agree. What happens is every event in our life matters. Every event in our lives matter. And having people in your life, whether it's on a short-term basis or a long-term basis, can make a very momentum impact in their lives throughout their eternity. I'm reminded of being a college student, and we would travel to sing, and on some of our trips, we would have to stay with families. And one particular couple, I don't remember their name, but I do remember that they impressed me because they both had college degrees that were different from their field of studies, which taught me something different. So, and I'm saying that to say that being a foster parent or being a mentor in any capacity is very important in the lives that we touch, in the lives that we encounter.
Yes.
Because it can make a very lasting impression on the decisions we make, the careers we choose, or even just how we feel about ourselves.
I absolutely agree. I mean, when we think about foster caring, we're going to bring up such a dynamic individual who I've, saw on many occasions do such great things for others, always denying herself that she can be everything to everyone else. So our guest today is Miss Tasha. And so we want you to just celebrate with us as we celebrate this great guest and the wonderful things she's doing. Welcome, Miss Tasha.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here on this evening.
We're so super duper excited to have you. And it's also just to have this topic of foster parenting. I do know, because we've known each other for about almost all my life, that we have had experiences around that. And I'm pretty sure you've even had greater experiences, but my most far back memory goes back to South Florida's queen of gospel music.
Yes. yes.
Miss Rosetta Ellis, and her fostering so many young boys. I'm curious, is that what inspired you to somewhat go in that field?
Yes, that was one of the reasons why I chose to become a foster parent. As we know, the Queen of Gospel, who's passed on, Miss Rosetta Ellis, she was a wonderful foster mother. And when she would have concerts or travel to go out of town, I would do what's called respite care for her. And I would have the boys at my home and other different things that she was unable to do with them, like take them to the youth fair or take them on different trips. I would be the one to step in to handle all those things. And when she would go and do her training and everything, I would go to training with her. So I was kind of sort of like a backup person. And the kids that came into play was always there long term, and I fell in love with them. So I love working with the kids.
That's absolutely beautiful. So I hear your motivation and your encouragement because I know to be in foster care, you have to stay encouraged.
Yes.
And so because you are supporting and aiding and helping children that are not your biological children, but I've seen you help so many other children in so many capacities. And so just thinking about over the years, as you have helped nurture other young men, as you nurtured your own children. And so as you have developed over these years, what keeps you motivated? So that's why I heard what motivated you, but what keeps you motivated? Because this is not something you picked up and just said, oh, I want to be a foster parent. I just came and fell out the sky and you stumbled upon this. This is something I've seen has been the core of you. So what keeps you motivated to continue on this journey of foster care?
One of the things that keep me motivated is when the kids come into play, knowing that they're loved when they're there. And when they have to leave, don't want to leave. As stated before, I have two boys. And raising two boys, of course, other boys come into play. And they come in and they love being around me. I love for them to see that what love is. I love for them to see what it is to come into a home where there is love, not just love, where there's ministry. So they get a concept of what it is to be loved, and they also feed them of what it is to be Christian and be in love. And they often say that women can't raise men, but I beg to differ on that, because if you have Christ in your life, he will help you, he will lead you, and he will guide you on what it is on how to raise men. And under my care, besides my two sons of my own, I have four other young men that's in my life that's always there when I need them. And just to see how far they've come, just to see the impression that I put up on them, makes me feel good to know that I'm doing something right.
So how, for those that may be out there watching and it's been a curiosity in the back of their mind, God knows for me, it's kind of been a thought that I've kind of played with. I've always said after I've raised my children, I might want to go and either adopt or foster care. What's the process? What's the process to it? Can you just go down there and say, hey, I want some children, put them in my house? What's the process?
No, what happens is, first and foremost, there is a lack of foster parents out there. You have to go through a training. It's an extensive training that you go through, and it's not a training that you go through 1 year. It's training that you have to go through every year. You have to train. You have to keep your license updated. They do extensive background checks on you. They have to come into your home. Your home has to be up to code. Different things along that level. But most importantly for me, it's not just the licenses for me. It's the love and attention that I give the child that comes into your home. There are different types, different stages of becoming a foster parent. There are different types of foster parents out there. They have some homes that only cater to sickly kids. They have some homes that only cater to mentally ill kids. They have some homes that only wants infants. They have some that is very, very popular today is trafficking. You know, you have kids out there that are being trafficked, and you have some foster parents homes that's all they take is that. So you have to know in your heart, and to be frank with you, you have to have a love for it because it's not about the money. And we deal with that as a foster parent. We have meetings on that often, you know. But one thing about it, you have to make the money. You have to make a certain amount of money in order for your home to be open up, but they don't in return, you know. So for me, it's about the love. For me, it's about the attention. I want a child to know that all adults are not bad. I want them to know that they are able to be loved in spite of whatever situation it is, whatever situation that brought them into the system. That it's grown people, it's people out there that really, really loves you.
I'm sorry. I do want to ask the next question here, just to chime in, just to those that are listening or viewing that maybe say, well, I don't see how she do that because, you know, these kids are bad and, you know, all of these stigmas that we have around being a foster parent, foster care. How do you cope or deal with the challenges that, you know, somebody else may be avoiding or don't want to be involved with foster parenting because of the great challenges they said with behaviors, the behavior challenges of those children? How do you cope or how do you adjust?
First and foremost, you have to pray. You have to know what you're getting yourself into. Even though foster is very private, even though a lot of information is not given out, you know, you can't broadcast your name, you can't broadcast the child name. But this is a situation that happened to me some time ago. I had a little girl that was in my home. Discernment plays a big part in everything.
Yes.
And something as simple as her telling her to go and take a bath. She didn't want to do that. And this little girl screamed, and I recorded it, screamed for over 35 minutes. She was kicking the bathroom door. My son, Mom, you ain't got to put up with this. And this was like 11:30 at night. And for me, I cut on some gospel music, my Pandora, and I started praying, and eventually it ceased. You have to know the difference in the scream when it comes down to kids. You have to know, us as adults, we have triggers. Kids have triggers too. And reason being, something happened to her in the midst of her taking a shower. In the midst of that time, she had to take a shower, but I did not know that information, so it was a trigger. So with the discernment kicked in, say, play gospel music. And I played gospel music. And this young girl, she came out of the bathroom, she stood and looked at me, and I sat on the couch and I looked at her, and she slid down on the floor and she sat there. And then she eased her way in the room and she went straight to sleep. So you have to pretty much know, you know, when they come into your home, they come with what's called a blue book. In that blue book, they give different information and all of that stuff concerning this child. But this was an emergency placement, so the blue book didn't come with the child.
Wow.
So eventually, when the book did come into play, then I was aware to recognize, okay, this and this will happen. So you really have to have a heart for it, and you have to have patience for it.
Wow.
Now, are all foster parents emergency placement? And I guess I want to piggyback on two questions if I can. The emergency placement part, is that just your particular specialty, or is that with all foster parents? And then just going back with, we've all watched the news and saw horror stories concerning missing children, abused children while under foster care. And just to piggyback on the level of training that's received to make sure you're a good match back and forth. So within both of those questions, does the training prepare you to be a good match for certain type of children and certain type of care you provide?
Emergency placement is something that if something happened in that child's home, whether it's 1, 2 o'clock, first of all, you receive phone calls all time of the night. And they tell you in your training, you have to answer numbers that you even don't recognize. When I first became a foster parent, I had just got out of training and I had a young little boy that came into play into my home. Loved the little boy. And he ended up having to go back. He ended up going with his parents. Emergency placement is someplace, a home where that child can go instantly. In that, the child is placed there depending on your home. If you have other kids in your home or if you're trained for that particular child that came into play. Sometimes that child comes in to stay 24 hours. Sometimes that child comes in to stay a week. It all depends on the situation. You have long-term placement. For me, I do what's called long-term placement. My home is a home that they come into, they get situated, and they stay there until they're rejuvenated with their parents, their birth parents, whether it be the birth parents or whether it be a relative or something along that nature. They also have placements whereas you can do respite care, where other foster parents, they are foster parents, they're going on vacation and they don't want to take the foster child with them. So what they do is they'll call around different other foster homes and see if they're available, and they fill in on that way. Because even though the child is in your home, not necessarily the child can travel with you. You have to go to court. It's different things that you have to do in order. And then, believe it or not, that parent still has a right to say, no, I don't want that child to go with them. When that child come into your home, they do what's called an icebreaker. An icebreaker is when you do a Zoom call and you're able to talk to that parent to find out from that parent what that child likes, what that child doesn't like, if the child's on any medication, the sleep habits, and all of things along that line. So you could pretty much get a feel of how that child is. And then that parent gets to be able to, ask you questions. In the Zoom call, your name is not displayed. Your face is not displayed because they don't want, everything is because the child, of course, is underage. Then they have what's called temporary placement. Doing temporary placement is the child coming to your home. They stay until they can find someone like a relative or something along that lines or whatever like that to make sure that that child has some place to go or whatever. For me, I choose to do one child at a time. Some foster parents have 6 kids. Some foster parents have 8 kids. It all depends. But for me, I choose one child. I choose one child because that child is coming out of something traumatic. So when that child comes into your home and if they have to deal with other kids that's already previous been there, kids are something. They're something, especially if you're bringing a child that's a different type of trauma into a home with other different type of trauma, and then that child have to adjust. When it comes into my home, I want that child to be able to feel the love, the attention that the child need. I'm in the process of getting a name patent, Touch of Love. It's in the works. It's already being done. And I chose that because it tells you a story in the Bible that the lady said if she could just touch the hem of his garment, she feel that she would be made whole. I feel if you could just come into my home and just get a touch of love, I feel that will make a change in the individual. As far as the question you asked about being lost in the system, I don't encourage anyone to put their child in the system. I chose this because I love kids, for one. I chose it because I have family that have kids. I'd rather take on that responsibility than to put my child in a system of someplace else. Because we have to understand that the love that we have, somebody else may not have. All parents are not bad parents. Raising children is stressful. Sometimes we need that. So in the organization that I'm working on, A Touch of Love, is an organization where if you need a break for a moment or so, that's what this organization is going to be about. It's not long term.
Beautiful.
It's just something just so that child or that parent, because the parent needs breaks too.
Yes. Yes.
So in that training, it teach you all kind of things or whatever the case may be.
That's phenomenal. A touch of love. I love that. And I think that's such a heartfelt, genuine position for someone as yourself to stand in, just to recognize that parents need breaks, and having a resource that they can go to just say, okay, for 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours out of the day, just so I can have some me time. It's and knowing that their child is in a safe place. Not many people can have that because they don't have grandparents or don't have anyone else that they can put their children in the care of, that they will be comfortable. So we look forward to what as a touch of love is displayed before the world. And so we want to thank you again for coming and sharing all of this vital information. Just, I don't want you to share your personal information, but if you don't mind, if you have your social media platforms, people can always message you by way that they can message you that is still safe for you. If they have any questions concerning foster care, how can they get involved? If you can just provide that information.
I'm on Facebook. Far as A Touch of Love is still in the work. The paperwork and everything like that is being on the desk of people now. It's so much that's coming behind that, but you can look me up on Facebook or Instagram, Miss Deloach or Natasha Deloach.
Beautiful.
This is an awesome amount of information, an awesome amount. And I believe there are more individuals just like you who have a heart for safety for children. We know of people who, and I love the organization that you bring up that you're going to found, which is a necessary organization. We know of people who got involved in the system because they just needed somebody to look after their children for a little while they get themselves straightened out. So what you're doing is a phenomenal job. So if somebody's watching this broadcast, please like, share, and subscribe and get the notification button. But if somebody's watching this, what should be their first step on becoming a foster parent?
They can go online to fostercare.com and they can get the information there. Or down in the description box, it will be more information there. Or just inbox me. Just inbox me for information. Just inbox me, and I'll be glad to help you, to reach out when we can talk about it, because they need families. And don't think because you're not married, don't think because you're a single dad, or they need you.
Exactly. And so, and I love the idea that you're providing, creating, or involving a total community work, so that you're a help to parents, a help to children, and a help to other foster parents as well. So you're doing a phenomenal job. You're doing a phenomenal job. And this is one of the reasons why we wanted you on Love Speaks, because, again, love speaks what love is. A part of our culture, a part of our spiritual lives, and a part of what's going on right now. And you are a living example of what's transpiring and taking place now. Our children need a safe place where they can be.
I thank you so much for having me.
Don't forget to like this video, share this video, subscribe to this video, and hit the notification button. Share this with somebody that says, hey, you were talking about foster care. Here's an expert and a mentor who can help you on your journey in foster care. So, and even if you need assistance and just need a break, then you have resources, you have a mentor who will help you on this journey so that you don't necessarily get locked in the system.
That's it. Thank you so much again for joining us on this episode of Love Speaks. Again, love is not what it says, but it's also what it does. Love is an action word. So let us put love into action. Until the next time, have a blessed one.